We're introducing an additional difficulty level to the game called Novice. That, by design is targeting players that are new to racing games or new to games in general. Lots of help from the game. Should we say the success rate is supposed to be much higher when you try to perform laps or participate in competitions and so on using Novice mode. But obviously the level of challenge and immersion is slightly different than what you would expect in the other modes. But you got to start somewhere, and we think that with the introduction of the Novice mode, we have supplied a place where someone brand new to this can actually come in and figure it out on their own terms, and then progress on to the other difficulty levels. Well, the main reason really is that the RaceRoom Racing Experience is part of the RaceRoom franchise. Just as there are people playing at home in front of their computers or going to race rooms and play, we also do events. We do events with our partners, with manufacturers and so on. And there we get visited by people that do not have a gaming background. They're not gamers, by nature. They might not even have a driver's license, but they still want to be entertained. And then to put them in a simulator, or for that matter, give them a joypad and ask them to perform a game in action, on top of actually also driving, understanding all the inputs that they're getting, from the screen, the sounds and everything. It's probably a little bit too much, and we have seen it at different events that certain people got discouraged, and we don't want that. We want time spent with the game to be a good time. So yeah, we decided, let's do Novice, see what we can do. We're not done with the specter of the game, and us doing Novice is not, it shouldn't be seen as us then channeling the game towards that segment. We started in the middle. We know that there is room towards sim racers, and there was room towards the novice players, or those that are brand new to gaming. And first we have reached towards the new players, but we will also reach further towards the sim racers. But SimBin is an independent developer with limited resources, and we got to do things one item at a time, and we chose to start there for the reasons that I mentioned with regards to events and so on. But we have not forgotten our heritage and where we come from. So. The difference, the biggest difference is that, the biggest challenge, other than understanding that this is a game and trying to channel some sort of thought process into potentially two sticks on a joypad, or for that matter a wheel and pedals. I mean, imagine if you don't have a driver's license, how difficult it would be to go and sit in a car and understand how to drive, right? Equally difficult to sit in a simulator and try and drive there. It's the same mechanics of wheel and pedals. So while you are concentrating on what the different things does, the car is moving around the track at an alarming pace. The sound is very much in your face. You have lots of impressions that you're trying to absorb and deal with at the same time. Too much, and you will not pick up the corner markers that are on the track to tell you that now you need to apply some brake or you need to turn, because you're so busy with all these other inputs. So for Novice mode, the game will apply the brakes for you. You can brake yourself too, but if you fail to brake, the game will do it for you. It's running with the automatic gears. You can't change that, so you don't have to worry about that. All you got to do is actually give gas and steer. And then we have a little bit of steering aid it is not steering the car for you, but it is making micro adjustments to the car should the rear break traction. And the reason why that's important is that we have not gone overboard on traction control. So we actually do allow the car to move a little bit, but with these micro inputs from the steering, it means that a small slide will never become a big slide. And in actual fact, as a new player, you need to pick up what's happening. You need to look at the car and see that it's sliding, and as a new player, you simply don't. So you wouldn't be making these small adjustments yourself. The game is doing it for you. Obviously, the AI for game modes that depend on AI is tweaked to match the should we say difficulty level that you would expect from a novice experience. We have not detuned the cars; they are still going as fast as they can. So you can still, find yourself behind the wheel of a really, really fast car and go on, for example, one of the hill climb stages and get into a somewhat hairy experience, but the game will make sure that you get from A to B relatively safe. In addition, I would say that a new player, never done a racing game or any game for that matter before, they get in the simulator, they start playing. The first time they play, the systems will be doing most of the work. They will just be trying to keep the car in the middle of the track. Second time around, or on the second lap or something, they will probably try and take matters into their own hands. And for that, we needed the game to be better at communicating what was going to happen. Now, in the past, we have used a corner marker that was part of the HUD on screen. And it was placed in the middle of the screen, and on that there was an indicator showing either left or right and sort of the severity of the turn. Thing is, though, that for a new player, their focal point is in the middle of the screen, and now you put up a small mark on screen that you then ask them to look at and understand, is it left or right? We decided to go against, should we say, the norm, and run with a marker on each side of the screen. So basically, it's in your peripheral vision, and they're color-coded. So if it's red, you'll see that that's a severe turn, and it shows up on the side of the screen that the corner is turning. It works really well, and it's as safe an experience as we can make it without, you just sitting there in the game playing itself. We would want some kind of interaction from the player, yeah. Well, there is ABS, obviously, to prevent the wheels from locking up. There is traction control. There is brake-in assist, not the same as ABS. Brake-in assist will actually apply brakes for you. There is a recovery system so that if you do lose control of the car, you do steer off the track, at first the game will try and bring the car back by making minute steering inputs to get you back on track. If that fails and you end up facing a wall or a tire barrier or just in the wrong direction or whatever, the game will reset your car without you having to press any buttons or anything. So I think that's the key elements in terms of code, at least. Well, I think it helps because it doesn't help you become a better driver out in traffic, but if you are not a gamer and you're at an event or you come past a race room like this one, if you don't go in and actually play, then you will never become a racing gamer, right? So think of it this way. Someone comes in, it's their first time with a racing game. They sit down, they try, they get discouraged. They're not likely to try again. Whereas if they come in and try a novice mode in RaceRoom Racing Experience, chances are that they will have a good and immersive experience that over time will lead them to try the amateur level and hopefully progress on to get real later. So it helps them getting started, you know. But it's not a tutorial. It's not a drive-in school. It's not an education as such. It is just a controlled experience where you get to try and drive a nice race car in our game. Novice is implemented as a full featured component in the game. So for leaderboard challenge, for track test, competitions, challenges, everything where you can interact with the cars and the tracks and so on, you can choose Novice. Common game modes, whatever they may be, will also feature Novice mode, of course. So it is a choice on the same level as amateur and get real is currently. Yes, we are. I mean, look, when we set out with this new approach of RaceRoom Racing Experience, we decided that we respected our own limitations and the, should we say, the fact that it's a quite big undertaking that we chose to start. And at first we wanted to hit sort of the sweet spot, the middle of the pack, if you will. You can say that we did well or we didn't. That's very much depending on your background and where you come from, what games that you enjoy in terms of racing games, right? I mean, the Get Real mode that we have today, it's not as fully featured as you expected it to be if you were looking at GTR, GTR2 for that matter. But there's nothing to say that it won't be. There's nothing to say that it won't be even more feature-rich than the ones we have had in the past. We just got to get there slowly but surely. We don't want to make mistakes that will get us in trouble. And there is things to add. Get Real Plus, an additional layer to Get Real, an additional layer to the whole element of actually having a race car and so on. There is lots of interesting stuff coming in the future. The amateur mode, we're still working on it. We're still making small tweaks here and there. Will there be an additional layer between novice and amateur potentially? It's not unlikely, but it's also not a promise. We will see how things work out with novice first.